Well, thank you. And I want to thank you for all your time and attention. This is great. A lot of times you have conferences, and you know how this works. By the end of the second day or the second session, it can be a ghost town. And to see that people have stayed and stayed engaged is just wonderful. Because that was the point of this, is to get you engaged and get you excited. Because this is the largest single opportunity we have, is talent. And that's something I can't emphasize enough. And hopefully that really came across. Because there's some great moments of this campus. What I hope for you, I know it was for me, is probably the single most powerful thing was Monday morning, when the students got up and spoke. That was a moment of true pride and passion for me. And that's why I put it that way. And as I talked to people going around the rest of the day, because we still had the students active in all these sessions, it was clear that all of us were thinking about those 20 students and how could we make their lives better. Because that's what this is all about. Not just the 20 students, but all Michiganders looking for that first career or that second or third career. And that's our opportunity. Now that we've had a great day and a half, the issue is, what do we do? It's time to do something about it. Because again, we talk enough. It's about how we translate this to action. And so, this is the exciting part. This is the start of a dialogue, but also an action plan to say, we've done stuff before, but this is the first time we gathered, hopefully, the employer community together, about talking together. Because the first question I'd ask you, I want to ask you a couple questions. How many people here think we have a real problem in some capacity with our system today? Because the first thing you need to do when you have a challenge like this is acknowledge there's a problem. And I think we can conclude that from all the stuff we've heard and seen. I think a lot of us knew it, but now it's really crystallized in a much more tangible fashion. The second thing, though, that goes with it, and again, I'm going to come back to these students again. After listening to those students and meeting them one-on-one or having a dialogue with them, how many people believe we have the capacity to solve that problem, and we're in great shape in our state? So now, it's time for a phrase I like to use a lot. It's time for relentless positive action, folks. No blame as to how we got in this situation. Nobody caring about credit. We know the problem, let's just solve the problem. And be relentless about putting that solution in place. And what I want to ask for you, a couple things I'll share with you that I talked about the problem yesterday. I'm going to put it in a little bit different perspective for you today. Because all of us need to be part of the solution to this problem. It was great. I had to go off and do a couple things in between. One of the things I did is I got a chance to sit down with the 20 students for a few minutes. And I was able to ask them a bunch of questions. And one of the questions I asked is, this is great that we're talking about your career now, but what could we have done earlier in your career? While you were entering college or when you were in high school? What could we have given you? Are there things we could have done to help you? And we started a good dialogue. We didn't have enough time to finish it, but we got some great input from those students. And then I looked down and I talked to them a little bit about why I was asking those questions. And the context I gave them is, I told them, you're my customer. And it was interesting to watch the reaction. They would go, huh? They didn't appreciate that. And I said, no, you are my customer. Everyone in this room is my customer. That's why government exists. We're a customer service organization, and you're the customer. How do we give you great service? But that's part of the analogy that I want to ask the employers to think about today. Because there's a lot of great companies here, and it's great to see the growth. You're the ones bringing back Michigan. You create the jobs, not government. But in a lot of ways, I listen to companies talk about how your hiring process is and how you're going through that. And the challenges you face, one question I'd ask, because we all need to be part of the solution, what can we do with the private sector employers to get them closer to success? And an analogy that came about is how often do we think about our employees and our prospective employees as customers? And to say, if we want to be really successful, because we all know having the greatest workforce, the greatest talent is the key to having the greatest success. There's no reason we should treat any employee or prospective employee different than any customer, is there? And the one thing I would ask of you, in a lot of ways, a lot of our process is set up is, we're going to respond when they come to us. Now, that's not how you treat your customers. You go to your customer. You engage your customer. So just right there, I think there's a huge opportunity on the employer side to say, what can you do to go to your customer more, your potential employee? That's the internship, the apprenticeship, the externship, the opportunity to meet them. One of the comments I got from the students again was, job fairs don't really do it for us, because we get a bunch of paper from a couple people in the company. And how much greater it would have been if we could have visited the company and met a bunch of people at that company. So I ask you to think about that. How employers can go to these talented people. The second thing I'm going to talk about is the other side. Again, that's the demand side, that's collaboration. How can we collaborate to do that? We talked about it, you saw it in the last slide, and actually some of the comments were great about K-12 versus universities versus community colleges. The vision I've always had, it's a P20 system. It's a system of going from prenatal to lifelong learning. It should be relatively seamless in that whole process. And again, that's not to say the institutions have to go away, but shouldn't we make it easy to say you can move from one to the other without barriers, without things getting in your way, without, things that cause you to refocus and restart in some cases, versus just having a whole system that's geared for success. And then you have to ask the question, why does the educational system exist? Well, in my book, there are two reasons. It's that simple. To help people get a career and self-enrichment. And the challenge is, we've got wonderful education institutions in our state. We are blessed with among the world's best at all levels. But we're stopping short, just like I was making the comment on the employer side, we're stopping short on the education sector side. Think about it too often that when kids go off to college, these young people go off to college, everyone's focused on the goal of having them take 40 classes so they get a diploma. Right? That's basically it. That's not good enough. That's not connecting to a career. So there's a role for the education community. Now the issue is, again, we're not blaming anybody. The question is, how do we come together and bring both sides, all sides together, to say we all need to move to the center, to go from collaboration on the private sector, to creation on the education sector, to connecting those two worlds. That's what this is all about. Of addressing the problem in a proactive, constructive way, are going to have the strongest economies for the next 20 to 50 years. It is a fundamental strategic advantage. And why do I say 20 to 50 years? Because it will be a strategic advantage that will then become a role model for the rest of the country and the world. And people will follow. But the people that have the first mover advantage of doing this faster and better, and then keeping that passion going, that's normal competition, and we can win that game every day as Michiganders. So that's the challenge I have for you, is to say, it was a good day and a half, but our work is only beginning. And when I use the word work, the funny part is, and many of you know me well enough, actually, work can be enjoyable. It's not about being a burden. It's not about being actively disengaged. It's about being the engaged. Because this work, is there any more valuable work than making the world a better place and helping your neighbors succeed and helping your neighbors' kids and their kids' kids succeed? So I want to say thank you to the MEDC for putting all this on. They worked really hard. I want to say thank you to all the people that participated, Mary, all the wonderful panelists, all the leaders. What a great group of people. And I also want to say thank you to all of you. But I hope you're fired up. I hope you're passionate now. And I hope you're ready to go. This is another big step in reinventing Michigan. We're on that path. And this is one of the biggest single steps we can take. Talent, collaboration, creation, connection. Thank you.